They used to call us the back office of the world. Not with malice, but with certainty. Quiet, smug certainty. We were the ones answering their calls at 2 a.m., fixing bugs in their code while they slept. Providing support, never strategy. Labor, never leadership. We were useful but invisible. Efficient but replaceable. But somewhere in that quiet midnight of outsourced tasks and second-hand expectations, a billion minds were sharpening their skills. A quiet revolution was brewing behind glowing computer screens and under flickering tube lights. And while the world applauded our service, we were silently preparing to lead. And now, in 2025, the world is waking up to a new India. Not the back office, but the brainpower capital of the future. Because today we're not just building apps. We're building algorithms that define how the world thinks. We're not just coding systems. We're creating ecosystems of innovation, of resilience, of dreams that have finally found the courage to be loud. Look around. The CEOs of the world's biggest companies, Google, Microsoft, IBM, Adobe, YouTube, are all Indian. Isn't it poetic? The very people who were once seen as support staff are now writing the visions of global tech giants. But you see, this was never about jobs. It was about value. And somewhere along the line, India stopped being a destination for cheap labor and became a source of intellectual gold. We have moved from being problem solvers to problem preventers, from being task doers to being thought leaders. In Bengaluru's startup cafes, in Hyderabad's AI labs, in Pune's robotics firms, in Chennai's quantum computing units, there's a different energy now. Not one of survival, but one of invention. We are no longer waiting for the West to hand us blueprints. We are drawing our own. Take a look at our space program, ISRO. They once laughed when we launched a Mars mission for less than the budget of a Hollywood film. But who's laughing now? We didn't just reach Mars. We did it in our first attempt. Because intelligence doesn't need designer suits or billion-dollar funding. Sometimes all it needs is belief, a brain that's been underestimated for far too long. And perhaps that's what rattles the old guard of the West. That India isn't loud about its intelligence, but it's relentless. We're not boasting. We're building. And the terrifying part, we've only just begun. Our education system, flawed as it may be, produces some of the world's toughest minds. Because in India, if you've made it from a small town to a global stage, you didn't just pass exams, you fought a war. A war against power cuts during online classes. Against English you were never taught to speak. Against social systems that told you, this is not your place. But you still made it. And that makes the Indian brain not just smart, but indestructible. Every student graduating from an IIT, every coder in a tier 2 city who taught himself Python from a YouTube video, every woman running a STEM startup while raising 2 kids, they are the new face of India. And the world is watching. Yes, they're watching in admiration, but also with quiet unease. Because they know the tide has turned. It's not just about economics anymore, it's about equity. And India is finally getting its share. You see, when a country full of thinkers stops working for someone and starts working for something bigger like nationhood purpose, pride, then what you're witnessing is not just growth. It's a renaissance. The back office is closed. The future is now being coded in Indian time zones. And no matter how quietly the West may speak of it behind conference doors, they know it too. The age of borrowed intellect is over. The age of India original, fearless and brilliant has begun. Look, the world has always been fascinated by numbers. Numbers that tell stories of power, potential, promise. And right now, there is one number that has every economist, every strategist, every global leader whispering behind closed doors: India's youth population. 65%. That's right. Nearly 2/3 of India's population is under the age of 35. Think about that for a moment. A country of over 1.4 billion people where the vast majority are young, energetic, hungry to create, to innovate, to rewrite the rules. In the West, boardrooms and classrooms are aging. The birth rates are slowing down. People are retiring, quietly stepping away from the spotlight. But in India, the story is different. It's vibrant. It's pulsating with life. This demographic dividend, this vast dynamic youth could be our greatest asset or our greatest challenge. But here's what makes it a superpower. It's not just about numbers. It's about what those numbers represent. Imagine 1 billion hearts beating in rhythm with ambition. Imagine 1 billion minds racing toward dreams that were once considered impossible. This is a generation that has grown up with smartphones in their hands, with the internet as their playground, with global ideas flowing freely through the air they breathe. They are connected not just to each other but to the world, and they don't just want to be consumers of change. No, they want to be creators, leaders, trailblazers. They are engineers designing tomorrow's technology, artists redefining culture, entrepreneurs turning small ideas into global empires. And here's the beautiful irony: while some countries fear youth bulge, seeing it as a risk, a challenge, a source of instability, India sees it as its secret weapon. Because a young population is not just about energy, it's about adaptability, the ability to learn faster, to pivot when needed, to embrace change rather than fear it. When you have a youth that speaks multiple languages, navigates diverse cultures, and understands global trends, you don't just survive the future, you shape it. But this power doesn't come without responsibility. It demands vision. It demands investment. It demands trust. Education is the foundation. And yes, there are challenges. Millions still lack access to quality schooling and inequalities persist. But what is heartening is the relentless push to change that narrative. Digital classrooms, skill development programs, entrepreneurship incubators, all lighting the way forward. And the youth, they are responding with grit, with passion, with a hunger that refuses to be tamed. Women, especially, are stepping into arenas once dominated by others. Their voices are louder, their presence undeniable. From STEM fields to politics to arts, Indian women are breaking barriers every single day. This young generation is not just dreaming about success for themselves. They are dreaming about success for their families, their communities, their nation. They carry the weight of centuries of history and the promise of centuries to come. And that's what makes this demographic phenomenon so powerful. It is not just economic or political. It's deeply human. Because when 1 billion people, young, ambitious, hopeful, decide to believe in their own power, the world takes notice. They may be called millennials or Gen Z, but in India they are something more, the architects of destiny. And destiny, my friend, is not something that happens to you. It is something you create. The West looks at these numbers with a mix of admiration and anxiety. They know that such a vast youth force can translate into an unstoppable workforce, an innovative market, a cultural powerhouse. It means that India won't just be the world's largest democracy, but soon one of its most influential leaders. This demographic superpower doesn't just mean economic growth. It means a shift in global influence. It means the world's center of gravity moving eastward. It means a new chapter written in the language of youthful energy and unyielding hope. But here's the truth nobody talks about enough: this power is fragile. It requires careful nurturing. Policies that empower rather than exploit. Opportunities that are inclusive rather than exclusive. Because if the youth are left behind, if their potential is wasted, if their dreams are crushed under bureaucracy or corruption, then this superpower will become a missed opportunity. And that would be a tragedy not just for India, but for the world. So what do? We invest in education. We build infrastructure. We promote innovation. We celebrate diversity. And most importantly, we listen. Listen to the dreams of a farmer's son in Bihar who wants to build a startup. Listen to the aspirations of a young woman in Chennai who wants to become an astronaut. Listen to the ideas of a teenager in a Mumbai slum who wants to change the world. Because in their voices lie the future of India and the future of the world. And this is why the West is quietly terrified. Not because India is threatening their power with weapons or armies, but because we are rising with the unstoppable force of youth, a force that no wall, no embargo, no policy can contain. This demographic superpower is not just India's secret. It is the world's hope. And in 2025, as India marches ahead, the world must learn this truth. The future belongs to the young. And the young belong to India. Power is often mistaken for guns or money or armies. But real power, real lasting power, comes from the heart. It's soft, subtle, and sometimes invisible, but it moves mountains. That's what we call cultural power. And India is a giant of cultural power. For centuries, our culture has been rich, vibrant, and alive, woven with stories, music, dance, spirituality, and philosophy that have touched millions. Yet, the West often looked at us and thought, too colorful, too ancient, too different. They saw our festivals as exotic curiosities, our traditions as relics of the past. But here's the truth: culture isn't just about heritage. It's about identity. It's about influence. It's about connection. And in 2025, the world is not just watching India's economy grow or its technology advance, they're falling in love with its soul. Look around you. Yoga studios have sprouted in every major city around the world. New York, London, Sydney, Berlin, people bow in gratitude to the ancient wisdom of Indian spirituality. They breathe through pranayama, meditate to calm their restless minds, and find peace in practices that originated thousands of miles away in the land of the Ganges. Bollywood, the heartbeat of Indian culture, no longer lives only in Mumbai or Delhi. Its songs echo in cafes in Paris, its dance moves inspire TikTok videos in Tokyo, and its dramas captivate audiences from Cairo to Cape Town. Diwali, once just a festival in Indian homes, now lights up the skylines of London and New York. Streets glow with lamps, fireworks burst into the night, and people of all backgrounds celebrate light triumphing over darkness. Isn't that incredible? This isn't just cultural export, it's cultural embrace. India's soft power, the stories we tell, the values we live by, the art we create is a silent revolution. It doesn't need tanks or missiles. It moves with a quiet confidence that shifts hearts and changes minds. And that's what makes cultural power dangerous to those who cling only to traditional might. Because you can't blockade a story. You can't sanction an idea. You can't silence a song. This power travels faster than any army. It builds bridges instead of walls. It brings people closer even when politics tries to keep them apart. And this power is growing. Today's Indian youth are proud of their heritage in ways never seen before. They mix the ancient with the modern. Wear sneakers with kurtas. Listen to classical ragas and hip-hop. Celebrate Holi with as much enthusiasm as they watch Hollywood movies. Our culture is alive, evolving, and inviting the world to join in. But there's more. Cultural power means setting trends on your own terms. In fashion, designers from India are shaping global runways. In cuisine, spices from our soil are changing taste worldwide. In literature, Indian authors are winning international awards. In technology, even our storytelling platforms are revolutionizing how stories are told. Culture is also a way of thinking our ideas about democracy, tolerance, family, spirituality, offering new models to a world searching for meaning. And when a culture is strong, it creates confidence. Confidence in a nation, confidence in a people. Because culture tells us who we are. It reminds us of our values. It keeps us grounded even when the winds of change blow hard. That's why the West is uneasy. Not because India is trying to overshadow them, but because India is becoming a cultural beacon, a light others want to follow. This power doesn't flash in headlines. It doesn't roar in debates. It whispers in every person who wears a bindi in Brooklyn or lights a daya in Dubai. It dances in every Bollywood fan singing at a concert in Cairo or Berlin. It breathes in every yoga teacher guiding their students to inner peace from Sydney to San Francisco. And this power is unstoppable because it is inclusive. It welcomes everyone no matter where you come from, what language you speak or what faith you follow. India's culture teaches us to celebrate diversity, not fear it, to find strength in unity, not division. And that message is the future. Because real power isn't about domination. It's about connection. It's about inspiring others to be their best selves. When you lead with culture, you lead with heart. And a world hungry for connection is ready to follow. So yes, while they may boast about economies and armies, the real power that India holds and will continue to grow is cultural power. The power to inspire, to unite, to heal. And that power, it is quietly terrifying the West. Because it reminds them that strength can be gentle, that influence can be kind, that greatness can be shared. And in 2025, as India's story unfolds on the global stage, one thing is clear: cultural power is real power. And India is the heart of it all. There was a time when dependence was our story, when India looked outward for almost everything: technology, defense, even ideas. We were always waiting for someone else to tell us what to do, how to grow, where to go. But those days, they are dying. And with their death, something new is rising. A spirit so fierce, so proud, so unstoppable, that the whole world is taking notice. India's journey towards self-reliance at Manevar Bharat is not just a political slogan. It is a declaration of independence, a bold refusal to be defined by the limits others set for us. Financial inclusion and technology working hand in hand. Our startups are no longer just servicing global clients, they're building products that the world wants to use. Even in critical sectors like space exploration, India is no longer a spectator. ISRO's missions are world-class, budget-friendly and reliable. We've launched satellites for other nations, proving that dependence is not our destiny, it's our challenge conquered. But why does this matter so much? Why does this shift unsettle the West? Because dependence creates vulnerability. When you rely on someone else for your essentials, your security, your future, You are always at their mercy. Policies change,